Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Speak English Daily. I'm Emma. Let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever heard a native speaker say, "I mean," or "you know what," or "that being said," and thought, "Yeah, I know those words"? Of course you have. You hear them constantly. Every movie, every podcast, every conversation. Here's what's weird. You understand them perfectly. Every single word is simple. I mean, two basic words. You know, super easy. That being said, nothing difficult. But here's my real question. Can your mouth actually say these phrases? Can they come out naturally when you're speaking? Probably not, and that's the problem we're fixing today. Here's what I see with English learners all the time. You can understand almost everything. When someone speaks to you at normal speed, you catch every word. You watch English YouTube without subtitles. You understand podcasts. You read articles with no problem. You're listening? Excellent. Your reading? Great. Your vocabulary? Thousands of words. But when it's your turn to speak, you freeze or you sound robotic, formal, like you're reading from a textbook. You want to say, "I mean, I see your point," but instead what comes out is, "However, I disagree with your perspective." Grammatically perfect, but it sounds weird, unnatural, like you're giving a speech, not having a conversation. Why? Because there's a massive difference between understanding English and speaking English. And here's what makes this frustrating. These phrases aren't advanced English. They're not idioms you need to memorize. They're not complex grammar patterns. Look, "I mean" is literally two words you learned in week 1 of English class. "You know what" is 3 basic words. Any beginner knows. So why can't you say them? Here's the truth. Your brain knows these phrases, but your mouth hasn't practiced them. There's a huge difference between recognizing something and producing it. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Look at this phrase. That being said, we should still try. Every single word is simple. That, basic. Being, you know this. Said, elementary. We should still try. First year English. You understand it instantly when you hear it. You've probably heard it hundreds of times. But right now, without looking at the screen, can you say it? Can you use it naturally in a sentence? Most people can't, even though they know all the words. Here's another one. Mind you, I'm not saying it's impossible. Again, every word is simple, but can you produce this phrase naturally when you meet it in conversation? And here's the problem. You've been skipping these phrases. You see them in videos and think, "Oh, I already know this. This is too basic." So you skip ahead, looking for advanced vocabulary, complex idioms, difficult grammar, but you're missing the entire point. These simple connecting phrases are what make English sound natural instead of robotic. Think about your own language. When you speak in your native language, you don't talk in perfect, complete sentences, do you? You use little connecting words, fillers, softeners, phrases that make your speech flow. Think about your own language. When you speak naturally, you don't just state facts in perfect sentences, right? You use little words that soften your tone, phrases that connect your ideas, expressions that show you're thinking or reconsidering or being polite. That's what makes conversation feel natural and human, not like a formal essay. English is exactly the same. But here's what happened to you as an English learner. You learned formal English from textbooks. You practiced structured sentences. You memorized grammar rules. And then you tried to speak. And you sounded like you were reading an essay out loud. Perfect grammar, perfect vocabulary, but it doesn't sound like a real conversation. Why? Because you're missing all the little connecting phrases that native speakers use unconsciously in every single conversation. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but Emma, these are just filler words. Shouldn't I speak clearly and directly? Here's the truth. In English, these aren't filler words. They're communication tools. I mean, shows you're clarifying something. Creates connection with your listener. To be fair shows you're being balanced and thoughtful. That being said, introduces a contrast smoothly. These phrases don't waste time. They make you sound thoughtful, natural, and conversational. Without them, you sound like a textbook, like a robot, like someone who learned English from grammar exercises, not from real conversations. And here's the thing, it might surprise you. The problem isn't that you don't know English. The problem is that you don't own English. You understand it like you understand a book, but you can't use it. How many times have you been in a conversation, wanted to say something, knew all the words in your head, but they just got stuck? They wouldn't come out smoothly? That's because knowing is not the same as speaking. Reading silently is not the same as speaking out loud. Understanding in your mind is not the same as producing with your mouth. Speaking is a physical skill, like playing piano. You can understand music theory perfectly. You can recognize every note on the page. But if you never practice moving your fingers, you can't play. Your mouth, your tongue, your brain need to practice the movement of producing these phrases, not just understanding them. Today, I'm going to give you 40 connecting phrases that native English speakers use in every single conversation, but that textbooks rarely teach. When you practice these phrases enough times, something magical happens. You stop translating in your head. You stop searching for words. These phrases just flow out. Your pauses sound natural. Your opinions sound softer. Your conversations feel like conversations, not presentations. And here's my promise to you. You don't need to sound like a native speaker. You need to sound like you, speaking English naturally. Before we start, check the video description below. I've added chapter timestamps. Practice one category today. Come back tomorrow for another. This is your practice space. Are you ready to stop sounding like a textbook and start sounding like a real person, having a real conversation? Let's begin. Shadowing practice. I've organized 40 natural phrases into 8 categories. These are the phrases that make the difference between textbook English and conversational English. Listen carefully. Repeat each phrase during the pause. Let your mouth get comfortable with these natural expressions. Let's start. Category 1. When you want to make a point, but sound natural. Native speakers don't just state their opinions directly. They use these phrases to introduce their thoughts smoothly, making them sound conversational instead of aggressive. You know what? I think we should try something different. You know what? I think we should try something different. You know what? I think we should try something different. Here's the thing. We need to be more careful. Here's the thing. We need to be more careful. Here's the thing. We need to be more careful. I'll tell you what this is harder than I thought. I tell you what this is harder than I thought. I'll tell you what, this is harder than I thought. Let me put it this way. We're running out of time. Let me put it this way. We're running out of time. Let me put it this way. We're running out of time. The way I see it, we have two options here. The way I see it, we have two options here. The way I see it, we have two options here. Great start. Notice how these phrases make you sound like you're having a conversation, not giving a lecture. You know what gets attention naturally? Here's the thing introduces the real issue without sounding pushy. The way I see it introduces your perspective without forcing it. This is how real people talk. Category 2. When you need to explain what you really mean. I mean, it's not a bad idea, but it's not a bad idea, but it's not a bad idea, but. What I mean is, we should start sooner. What I mean is, we should start sooner. What I mean is, we should start sooner. In other words, we're basically stuck right now. In other words, we're basically stuck right now. In other words, we're basically stuck right now. Basically, what I'm saying is we need help. Basically, what I'm saying is we need help. Basically, what I'm saying is we need help. The point is, we can't keep doing this. The point is, we can't keep doing this. The point is, we can't keep doing this. Perfect. I mean is one of the most common phrases in natural English. It clarifies or emphasizes. What I mean is helps you explain more clearly. In other words, restates something more simply. Basically, summarizes the main point. The point is cuts through details to the core issue. These make your speech clearer and more natural. See how different these sound compared to textbook English? Instead of, however, I would like to clarify, you say, I mean, much more natural, right? Let's keep going. Category 3. When you want to add one more thing. Bees help you add extra information smoothly to what you're saying. On top of that, we're also dealing with budget issues. On top of that, we are also dealing with budget issues. On top of that, we're also dealing with budget issues. Not to mention, the deadline is next week. Not to mention, the deadline is next week. Not to mention the deadline is next week. Plus, we haven't even started the research yet. Plus, we haven't even started the research yet. Plus, we haven't even started the research yet. Mind you, I'm not saying it's impossible. Mind you, I'm not saying it's impossible. Mind you, I'm not saying it's impossible. Having said that, I still think we can do it. Having said that, I still think we can do it. Having said that, I still think we can do it. Excellent. On top of that, adds another point to your argument. Not to mention, introduces something you almost forgot to add. Plus is casual addition. Mind you adds an important qualifier. It means but keep in mind. Having said that, or that said, acknowledges what you just said before contrasting. These keep conversations flowing naturally. Category 4, when you agree, but polite disagreement. When you want to show the other side or balance your opinion. That being said, we should still consider other options. That being said, we should still consider other options. That being said, we should still consider other options. On the other hand, maybe we're overthinking this. On the other hand, maybe we're overthinking this. On the other hand, maybe we're overthinking this. Then again, maybe I'm being too cautious here. Then again, maybe I'm being too cautious here. Then again, maybe I'm being too cautious here. To be fair, they did warn us about this. To be fair, they did warn us about this. To be fair, they did warn us about this. In fairness, we didn't give them much time either. In fairness, we didn't give them much time either. In fairness, we didn't give them much time either. Wonderful. That being said is very common for introducing contrast after making a point. On the other hand, shows the opposite perspective. Then again, introduces a second thought that contradicts the first. To be fair, shows you're being balanced and considering all sides. These phrases make you sound thoughtful and diplomatic, not one-sided. These phrases are gold for sounding diplomatic. Instead of, but I disagree, you say, that being said. It's the difference between sounding argumentative and sounding thoughtful. Keep practicing. Category 5, when you have an opinion, but don't want to sound rude. These make your opinion sound less aggressive and more conversational. I guess you could say it's a good start. I guess you could say it's a good start at the moment. I guess you could say it's a good start. I suppose we could try it that way. I suppose we could try it that way. I suppose we could try it that way. It seems to me like we're making progress. It seems to me like we're making progress. It seems to me like we're making progress. I'd say it's going pretty well so far. I'd say it's going pretty well so far. I'd say it's going pretty well so far. If you ask me, this is the right approach. If you ask me, this is the right approach. If you ask me, this is the right approach. Great work! These phrases soften your opinions, making them sound like suggestions rather than commands. I guess and I suppose make you sound less certain. Even if you are certain, it's about being polite. It seems to me introduces your perspective gently. I'd say is casual opinion giving. If you asked me, introduces your opinion while acknowledging others might disagree. Very important in English speaking cultures. Category 6. When someone's totally right. Natural agreement. Natural ways to show you agree or understand someone. I know, right? It's crazy how fast time flies. I know, right? It's crazy how fast time flies. I know, right? It's crazy how fast time flies. Exactly. That's what I've been trying to say. Exactly. That's what I've been trying to say. Exactly. That's what I've been trying to say. You're telling me I can't believe it either. You're telling me I can't believe it either. You're telling me I can't believe it either. I hear you. It's definitely frustrating. I hear you. It's definitely frustrating. I hear you. It's definitely frustrating. Fair enough. I see your point there. Fair enough. I see your point there about this. Fair enough. I see your point there. Perfect. I know, right? Is super casual agreement showing you relate completely. Exactly. Shows strong agreement. You're telling me means I know, I feel the same way. I hear you means you understand their feelings. Fair enough. Accepts their point even if you might not fully agree. These create connection in conversations. Notice how these phrases make you sound friendly and engaged? That's what makes conversation feel good. Not perfect grammar, genuine connection. 2 more categories to go. Category 7. When you're not 100% sure, but still want to contribute. When you're not completely sure or want to sound less definite. I'm not sure, but I think it's supposed to rain. I'm not sure, but I think it's supposed to rain. I'm not sure, but I think it's supposed to rain. As far as I know, the meeting is still on. As far as I know, the meeting is still on. As far as I know, the meeting is still on. If I remember correctly, she said Tuesday. If I remember correctly, she said Tuesday. If I remember correctly, she said Tuesday. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that your idea? Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that your idea? Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that your idea? I could be wrong, but I think we've met before. I could be wrong, but I think we've met before. I could be wrong, but I think we've met before. Excellent! These phrases show uncertainty without sounding weak. As far as I know, limits your knowledge claim. If I remember correctly, shows you're not 100% certain. Correct me if I'm wrong invites correction politely. I could be wrong makes you sound humble and open to being corrected. Native speakers use these constantly to avoid sounding too certain. Category 8. When you're just chatting. Everyday flow. Everyday phrases that keep casual conversation flowing naturally. Anyway, what were we talking about before? Anyway, what were we talking about before? Anyway, what were we talking about before? By the way, did you hear about the new policy? By the way, did you hear about the new policy? By the way, did you hear about the new policy? Speaking of which, how's your project going? Speaking of which, how's your project going? Speaking of which, how's your project going? Come to think of it, I haven't seen him lately. Come to think of it, I haven't seen him lately. Come to think of it, I haven't seen him lately. Now that you mention it, that does seem strange. Now that you mention it, that does seem strange. Now that you mention it, that does seem strange. Amazing. Anyway changes topics or returns to a topic. By the way, introduces something related but slightly off topic. Speaking of which, connects to something just mentioned. Come to think of it means you just realized something. Now that you mention it means their comment made you notice something. These phrases make conversations feel connected and natural. You've practiced all 40 phrases. Now let's see how native speakers weave them naturally into conversation. Notice how these small phrases make the dialogue flow smoothly. Conversation 1. Planning a project. So, how's the new project coming along?
You know what? It's actually going better than expected. I mean, we're still behind schedule, but the team is working really hard.
That's good to hear. Mind you, last month you said the same thing.
Fair enough. But here's the thing. We've actually finished 2 major milestones already. On top of that, we've got 2 new team members who are really helping.
That being said, you're still going to miss the original deadline, right?
To be fair, that deadline was never realistic. If you ask me, we should have pushed back from the start.
I hear you. The way I'll see it, it's better to deliver quality work late than rush and make mistakes.
Exactly. That's what I've been trying to say.
Perfect conversation. Sarah and Mike use 12 phrases naturally. Notice how these phrases make the conversation flow smoothly and sound diplomatic, not confrontational. Now let's hear a more casual conversation between friends. Conversation 2. Weekend plans.
I'm thinking about going hiking this weekend.
I know, right? The weather is supposed to be perfect. By the way, did you check which trail you want to do?
Not yet, I guess. I should probably look that up today.
Speaking of which, how was that trail you did last month?
It was amazing. I'll tell you what, it was harder than I expected, but totally worth it.
Come to think of it, I haven't been hiking in months.
You should come with me. Plus, it would be more fun with company.
I'd love to, but I'm not sure I'm fit enough. I mean, I haven't exercised in weeks.
Then again, it's a beginner trail. Not to mention, we can go at whatever pace you want.
You know what? You've convinced me. Let's do it.
Anyway, I'll send you the details tonight.
Great natural conversation. This is exactly how friends talk, casually, with natural connectors and fillers. You just practiced 40 phrases that native speakers use unconsciously every day. Here's what makes this different from other videos. Most videos teach you new words, new vocabulary, new idioms you've never heard. This video is different. Every phrase today you already knew. I mean, you know. That being said, you've heard them 1,000 times. So why practice them? Because there's a massive difference between recognizing a phrase and producing it. Your brain can recognize that being said instantly when you hear it. But your mouth has never practiced saying it. So when you try to speak, it doesn't come out. That's why you need to practice phrases you already know. Not to learn them, but to own them. To make them automatic. Think about it. How many times have you thought, I should say, I mean here, but your mouth said, I want to say instead? That's the gap. Understanding versus producing. We just close that gap. Here's your interactive challenge. Choose 3 phrases and record yourself using them. Just 30 seconds to 1 minute on your phone. You don't have to post it anywhere. What to do? Pick 3 phrases you want to use. Think of a real situation. Work, weekend, giving opinion. Press record and speak naturally, using all 3 phrases. Listen back. Did it flow smoothly? Record again until it feels natural. Here's something to remember. Nobody speaks in perfect sentences all the time. Not even native speakers. Real conversation is messy. It has pauses, it has fillers. Phrases like, I mean, and you know, and anyway. That's not a weakness. That's what makes it sound human. You just learned 40 phrases that will make your English sound less like a textbook and more like a real conversation. When you stop trying to speak perfectly and start speaking naturally, that's when people will actually enjoy talking to you more. Because perfect grammar is impressive, but natural conversation is connection. I'm Emma from Speak English Daily. Use these phrases, sound natural, connect with people. Thank you for practicing with me today. Keep speaking, keep connecting. Take care, everyone. Bye.